Hey y'all, it's Tuesday, which means it's Teaching Tuesday. It's the first Tuesday of 2018. And the topic of today, to set the tone, is follow instructions. God was showing me that it is very important in this season, right here, right now, to follow instructions. And with that being said, we're going to talk about David and Solomon, and that is going to be 1 Chronicles chapter 28, verse 6. Now he said to me, "It is your son Solomon who shall build my house and my courts, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. Moreover, I will establish his kingdom forever, if he is steadfast to observe my commandments and my judgments as it is this day." So, boom. Y'all remember David? David was the one who slayed Goliath, with the slingshot, okay? David was a real cool dude. He loved God with all his heart, mind, soul, spirit, okay? And David walked upright before the Lord, okay? So, David had a whole bunch of kids, okay? He had like 20 sons and a daughter named Tamar, and not to mention the kids that, they don't talk about. So, typically the kingdom is supposed to go to the oldest son, but instead God chose Solomon, which is one of his youngest kids. Okay. Now, the story of Solomon is told in another place, which is also in 1 Kings. But in 1 Chronicles, they have this assembly to anoint Solomon as the king. And David, before everybody, he's like, "Look, I know my son is young and he's inexperienced, but this work is of God." Okay? Catch that. The work has to be of God. So, in reading both versions, the thing that stuck out to me was multiple times Solomon was told, if you keep God's commandments, I will establish you. These things were conditional upon you keeping God's commandments. And it's like, man, how many times does God have to tell you something for you to get it? This applies to me too. Okay. We're all in this together. Okay. So, when Solomon became king, David, his daddy, was like, "Look, okay, God wants you to build this temple for him. I was going to do it, but he told me not to do it because I had shed so much blood and I was a man of war, blah, blah, blah." Okay? So, this shows y'all now. Okay, so with these instructions, God gave them everything that he needed. All the gold that he needed for the gold stuff, all the silver that he needed for the silver stuff, all the honest stuff that he needed for the honest stuff. Okay, when God gives you instructions, he will give you the provision that you need to complete the instructions. Okay? Now, before Solomon built the temple, God came to him and asked Solomon, "What do you want?" And Solomon said, "Wisdom." And God gave him that wisdom. And he said, because you didn't ask for longer days of your life, you didn't ask for riches, you didn't ask for, all this monetary stuff, I'm going to extend your days because you asked for wisdom in order to rule the kingdom which I had given you. Solomon was being a good steward of what he was given, and he wanted to make sure that he would continue to be a good steward, so he asked for wisdom. Okay, catch that. So, Solomon finishes the temple, right? Okay, he dedicates the temple. He's like, "God, I did this for you, what I'm saying, poured out for the homies or whatever, And like the rest of us, sometimes we complete one assignment that God has given us, but we forget about everything else that we're supposed to do that goes along with our calling, okay? See, Solomon was called to be the king, but his assignment was to build this temple, but don't forget about the commandments that came along with your calling. And he forgot. He totally forgot. God told him, "Don't mess with these women because they will turn your heart away from me and you will go and worship other gods. And if you do that, I'm going to snatch your kingdom." And Solomon just got so excited about finishing the temple, finishing this one assignment, he forgot about the rest of the calling. And child, Solomon was a player. The Bible says he had 700 wives, child. But those 700 wives didn't help Solomon. They were not his helpmate. They were his hurtmate, child. And turned Solomon's heart away from God, and God snatched the kingdom. But he did leave, one piece of the kingdom out of respect for David, because David followed God's commandments. David was a man after God's own heart. Y'all, it is so important to follow instructions. And not to just follow partial instructions, not to just follow instructions when it serves you, but to constantly serve him. And I'm talking to myself too, because sometimes I'll do what God tells me to do, but then I want to do what I want to do over here. Follow instructions. Don't miss the moment getting caught up in some mess. Because those women were a mess, clearly. He lost everything because he got caught up in some mess. Y'all, it's 2018. Let's follow instructions and get everything that God has called for. Then what's really brazy is the person that took his place was his servant, the person right under her child. So, look, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, God will take the next person right next to you, okay, and put him in your spot. Listen, don't miss the moment. Don't miss your moment. Don't miss what God has for you because you didn't follow all the instructions. And I know it's super duper hard, but don't turn your heart away from God, y'all. It's not the time. It's not the time. Well, it's never been the time, but really it's not the time. It's not the time. It's too much stuff that God has for you to do, for you to get distracted and to turn away and miss your moment. Let's follow instructions. Love y'all.